Hey guys, Sandy here. Welcome back to the channel. Today I am playing with some fun Brutus Monroe products. I am going to be scrapbooking these two photos from the Frozen live show that is at Disneyland. So I do have that. I am going to be using the die of the month, which is absolutely gorgeous. I decided to also bring in this stamp set right here, which is called Snow Scenes, which I think is beautiful. And of course, had to bring in some glitter glaze. So let's see what I can do. Okay, you guys, I absolutely adore how this page turned out. It is one of my favorite mixed media type pages that I've done in a little while, and I just adore it. So this is the die, or actually this is the die cut after I have cut it out. I just used some white cardstock and ran it through my die cut machine. And I did not show you guys my die cut machine because my plates are all cracked and warped and funky. But I do have some new plates on order, so I can show that process as well. But you know, that's just the way it is. So I'm using this piece of cardstock with some Denim glitter glaze, which is one of my favorite glitter glazes of all time. I'm not going to the edge, so I don't have those harsh lines, but I do. And I also am overlapping them a little bit, and that isn't bothering me whatsoever. I just love it. Like this has turned out super cool. I'm just adding in little bits until I feel like I don't need any more. I was trying to decide if I wanted to go ahead and keep that piece of paper or if I kind of had ruined it. Now I had to go through and find a decent color of cardstock in my stash that would go with that glitter glaze, and I found this blue. So then I'm also going to pull out this absolutely gorgeous stamp set, and I am going to use the clear embossing ink, and I am going to emboss a whole bunch of these bad boys. So I'm just using the embossing ink. The good thing about using a stamp positioner tool is that you can keep on using that ink and until you get a deep dark impression, which is what I want it to do. I want it to make sure that there was plenty of ink on that cardstock because I didn't want to individually emboss them. I wanted to make sure that I could do all 6 at once. So I am just going to go ahead and sprinkle my embossing ink on there. I'm pretty sure I used, I'm going to have to look again, but I'm pretty sure I used, oh, I don't remember which one I used. I'll have to look and put it down in the description below, you guys. I'm sorry about that. Looks like I used Fallen Snow. Is that what that says? I can't see it. I'm not wearing my glasses, so that's a little bit of an issue. I'm going to take just a clean, dry paintbrush, and I'm going to take out some of that extra embossing powder that was stuck to the cardstock. And just look at that. You guys know I am a fan of embossing. You guys know I think it is just magical, and it truly is. Like to go from this, just this powdery, dusty stuff, and you apply heat to it and it melts and it gets all smooth and beautiful. It's just a fun thing, and I love it. So I left in all 6 so you guys got to see that as well. So now those are done, and I'm going to pull out the coordinating dies. I'm just going to line it up on the snowflake to make sure that I have the correct one. I felt like that was the correct one, but I just wanted to make sure, and it was. I'm also going to use that die cut circle and cut out the center of the snowflakes, and you can see I got those done there. And then I am going to put snowflakes on each of the circles as well. And I'm just showing you a little bit more of the embossing. And then even though my stamping over the snowflake was not perfect, you can just brush it all off with your paintbrush. and then just do it. Oh, love it. Okay, so now I have the dried glitter glaze on my background, and I'm going to kind of cut around another one of the die cuts that I cut out, so that it is similar to one snowflake, instead of like a repeating pattern throughout the die. So I'm just trimming around there, and at first I thought I would just treat this like a doily. You know, I'm just going to put it on my layout, layer my photos, and then we have this doily looking thing that was going on. But it truly does kind of get lost there. So I decide what I'm going to do is ink this bad boy up. I'm going to give it a little bit of color. That way there's a little bit of contrast between that and the, oops, that's embarrassing. Still had my stencil in there. Never cleaned it or took care of it, so that's not great. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and ink up the die here. And I did use some surface spray. It's an older surface spray. I'm not sure if it's still on the website, but it does give it a nice deep dark blue color. Now I go ahead and map my photos on some more white cardstock. This is the stairs leading up that you had to climb up to get to the Frozen stage show in Disneyland, and then there's also the banners. Now I have done another Frozen layout, and it really takes in the reds and things, and this one is definitely all blue. So it kind of goes with the whole banner thing that was going on. So I think that these two pages in the album next to each other will be awesome. I do trim down some tulle just because I like adding a little bit of texture and things in my album that might be a little unexpected. I have a lot of texture going on here now with the embossed pieces and the glitter glaze and the colored paper. So I figured, what's a little bit more texture? It's going to add some interest. And how I do that is just kind of fold it over so it's kind of overlapping my white cardstock. And then I'm going to use my stapler just to staple that tulle in place. Now that is the most fail-safe way of adhering tulle to make sure that it stays. The only thing you have to be cautious of is if your staples are going to show. So if you're a fan of staples and you don't mind that little metallic bit showing, you could do it that way. Mine are going to be on the center of the mat though, because I'm going to cover them up. So I take my photos and I pop them up on some fun foam. And then I'm just going to washi tape the back of the staples because I just like to do that. I just feel better when the back of things that have metal parts sticking out or rips or anything like that, they have washi tape over them. That way you won't have to worry about moving things around in your album, or if things come unstuck, the staples won't scratch everything. It's just one of those scrappy things. That's one of my things that I just do. So there is that. So now I have the photos ready to go, and I'm just going to add some liquid adhesive to the foam. And then once I get that liquid adhesive down, I'm going to stick it to the mats, and that is going to allow the photo mat, or the photo and the foam, to stick to the photo mat. You want to use a liquid adhesive when you're messing around with foam and tulle. It just works a little bit better. So I do put my Misty down on top of it just to give it a little bit of something weighty to hold it down while it dries. And then I pop up one side of the photo with a little bit more foam because I want to layer them on top of each other, and I want that photo that is on top, I want it to be able to be flat. Now I went ahead and cut that die in half, so now it kind of does look like two doilies there. I am going to add a little bit more liquid adhesive. I find that a liquid adhesive works just better when you're gluing over top of glitter, whether it is glitter cardstock or glitter glaze, I find that a liquid adhesive just gets better sticking power. So I am going to do that. And now I'm going to figure out where I want my little die cut snowflakes to go. So I did cut the centers out of them. I thought about leaving the centers in some of them, but I just felt like that was just too much of an expanse of blue cardstock. So we don't do that, but I am using the liquid glue again because my snowflakes are going over top of the glitter glaze, but I am tucking it underneath of the tool, which is a little bit hard to see in the video, but in person you do see it a lot better. So now I have the circle bits, and I'm thinking that those are going to be sprinkled around the page as well. So I grab a little foam square just to give it a little bit of extra oomph, a little bit of extra dimension. And I'm going to place these down around the pages as well. Now, we have seen a couple different Frozen shows while we have been either at Disney World or in Disneyland, and I have to say this was one of our not so favorite productions. Now, I love me some Disney, and I love me the over-the-top smiles and big and everything like that, but I just love it. But in this case, we just weren't loving it. Lana and I were not loving this production of Frozen, and we couldn't really put our finger on it because we've seen a similar production before and enjoyed it, but this one we just weren't feeling it. So we actually left early, you guys. Like, that happened. It did. Now, I was thinking about doing that where I was going to have the snowflake around the circle, but I did not like how much blue there was. So I was like, here you are, you're putting it right on top of there, but you cut all the centers out because you didn't want that much blue in your snowflake. So I temporarily adhere that circle to just a little scrap piece of paper and run it through my circle punch. And then that way I have a gap between the circle snowflake and the snowflake, just the big snowflake. So I did use ATG there. After the layout's finished, I do go back and glue stuff down a little bit more, just because I don't want it to fall apart. And like I said, I just think it's better to do that with a liquid adhesive. So I'm messing around trying to figure out where else I need to put some things. I'm thinking about bringing that in. I was like, oh, I was going to use that as part of a photo mat, but I don't think I am. I think I'm just going to keep that bad boy off to the side. And now I'm trying to figure out a title and like where my title is going to go. I have two options in my mind. I could put it up there in that blank space in kind of the center up at the top, or I could put it down here at the bottom, and I decide to go down here at the bottom. Now, I was trying to think of something a little bit more creative than just Frozen. I was going to say something about freeze something, but then I was like, you know what? No, we're just gonna title it Frozen. The other page that I've already made with some Frozen pictures has nothing to do with a title that says Frozen in it, so I thought it was completely appropriate to do it here. Had to open another package to get another letter in, but went ahead and did that. And now I'm just trying to figure out where else I am going to put more, because, you know, more is more. So I go ahead and add the snowflake there, and then I'm just trying to figure out where else I should add more. And then I put it here, and I'm like, that kind of looks like, you know, the sun in the corner when you were a kid and you used to draw pictures where the sun was always up in the corner. And I'm like, no, we don't need to do that. So I take that away, and then I'm going to move my little snowflake a little bit more so that I can position this snowflake a little bit better. And for that snowflake, I do go ahead and use ATG on it because it is not adhering to over top of any glitter. The only thing it is adhering to is that cardstock. So then I'm just trying to figure out where in the world the best placement is for these little snowflake guys, because you know, it feels awkward to me, and it's not that I don't like it, but it just feels awkward. And if something feels a little funny, you know, sometimes I'll futz around with it until I like it, and sometimes I'm just like, no, we're done. Now I do think about bringing in some phrase stickers here, and I'm like, no, they're the complete wrong color for this, and I'm just staring at this layout, trying to figure out what in the world I am going to do to really make it, you know, really make it awesome. So I do find these blue word stickers, and you know, they've been in my stash for a little while, and I'm like, do I do that? And I'm like, no, I feel like that doesn't do a thing to bring the page together. I actually feel like that makes a divide between that upper snowflake and this this lower one. So I'm like, you know what I need to do? I need to add in another bit where the snowflake is in the center. So I do the same thing. I put my circle on a scrap piece of paper, stick it into my circle punch, and then I'm going to pop it up again on a foam square and place that bad boy down there. And then, of course, there's an ever so slight, tiny little bit that needs to be trimmed off. And I'm thinking, okay, this is a lot better. I'm not like feeling any kind of weirdness. Now I have got these little pieces of cutoff that I think I should add in just to give it a little bit more of that snowflake feel. And I get those down, and then that is going to do it, you guys. Thank you so much for joining me. Be sure to check out the products listed in the description down below. I hope that you'll check out this die because, oh my goodness, it is gorgeous. Thanks again for watching, guys. I'll see you again real soon for another video.